I got an interesting email today. Do I want to win £1 million? And the answer is, of course, yes, I do. Odds Checker are offering the chance to win £1 million by predicting the 2024-25 Premier League season. I'm going to have a go, and you can have a go by clicking the link in the description down below. You must be over 18 and be a UK resident to participate, and please gamble responsibly. But let's get round to my predictions for the 2024-25 Premier League season. Now, I know this is going to cause some controversy, and I know everyone can't be happy with the places that I put. Get involved in the comment section down below, and give me the reasons why you think I've made mistakes, why I've got it spot on, or why I'm way off the mark. In 20th place, I've got Leicester City. Leicester City, new to the Premier League, of course, champions in the past. In that miracle season, but I can't see miracles happening this season. I think they've lost their manager, they've lost some key players, and they've got a possible points deduction looming. So 20th place, I've got Leicester City. In 19th place, another newly promoted team, Southampton, I've got going down. Just looking at their results from last season, they conceded lots of goals. Only three teams conceded more goals than them in the Championship. Just like Burnley, I think their open stance of play may be their downfall. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting, a bit tasty. I've got in 18th place Everton. Listen, they've been banging on the door for a few seasons. Look, apart from the points deduction last year, they had a decent season under Sean Dyche, and I know he brings a little bit of stability to them. But you keep on banging on the door, eventually someone will answer. And I think they're lacking quality. They've got no real funds to be able to sign anyone new. I just think it could be the season that Everton drop. In 17th, just by the skin of their teeth, I think Ipswich Town may just stay up, and I don't think there's going to be much in it between them and Everton, but I've got Ipswich to stay up. It's just because I can see a few people going to Portman Road this year and getting a bit of a shock. In 16th place, a team just like Everton, who had FFP breathing down their necks last year, Nottingham Forest. Listen, I don't expect them to do anything out of the ordinary. I think they'll be stable. I think Nuno put a good stamp on the team. They've got some decent players, Forest, but 16th place seems about right for them. In 15th place, Brentford. Listen, we still don't know what's going to happen about Ivan Toney, but I can see them staying up. I don't think there's going to be much in it. I think they will be in a relegation battle. If Ivan Toney stays even, they've signed, what's his name? Igor Thiago, but he's going to be out for a significant period of time. Solid team, Brentford. They're a well-established Premier League team, but I can see them finishing 15th this year. In 14th place, unspectacular, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Don't think they're going to pull up any trees this year. Listen, they've lost Kilman to us, of course, who was, a lot of Wolves fans are not too displeased about that business. But Gary O'Neill's a decent enough manager. I think they'll steer away from relegation this year, and I think they'll finish in a solid 14th place. Surprisingly, a lot of people may be surprised by this, but I'm going to back AFC Bournemouth, Gary O'Neill's old club, of course, to finish in 13th place. Listen, I know they've lost Solanke, but it's a tough place to go, Bournemouth. They've got some tidy players and they've got a good manager, so I'm going to say 13th place. In 11th, one of the form teams at the end of last year, Crystal Palace. Listen, this was very tough to start deciding this meaty end of the table. Crystal Palace, of course, have lost Elise, who is a significant loss, but they have signed some decent players. They're going to keep Eze. It looks like it doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere. Always a solid team, Crystal Palace. They, as I said, after the manager change, they was one of the form teams last year. I reckon they'll start like that, but I think they'll have a bit of a rough patch in the middle. I don't think they can keep that standard up for the whole year, what they finished with last year. But I think they'll be solid, Crystal Palace. 11th. 10th, possibly, this could go either way. Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, I know they've lost their manager, but they always seem to be able to find a way round and become a good, solid, decent Premier League side. I can see them finishing in a solid 10th place. I can't see them challenging for Europe. I can't see them battling relegation. I can't see them pulling up any trees, but I think they'll be okay. 10th place, middle of the table. Now, in 9th, this may shock a few people, Aston Villa. Now, I know they were one of the form teams of last year, qualified for Europe 2 years in a row. They struggled under Gerrard, got Unai Emery in, and he seemed to have transformed the place. Now, Champions League is going to be it's going to take a big toll on them, I think, this year. They may take their eye off the ball when it comes to the Premier League. It's tough to negotiate that. On top of that, just like us, West Ham, they've got a lot of changes, so they've got to get sort of some of them players gelled in, get everyone on the same wavelength, learn new ways how to play, learn how to deal with departures. And I think it could be just one of them seasons where it's building, but you have to make a bit of a sacrifice. But they'll have they could, however, have a good run in one of the cups this year. And I'm sure they're going to have a ball with the Champions League. But I'm going to say ninth for Aston Villa, which is going to shock a few people. In eighth, the one you've all been waiting for, you're waiting for my. Am I going to back us to get in the Champions League? We made loads of signings, but no, I'm going to say West Ham finish eighth. Listen, I'll be a bit disappointed, don't get me wrong, but I do understand there is a big rebuild process, and we've signed a lot of players, just like Aston Villa. It's probably us and them in a transfer window that's won the transfer window, to be honest. We've signed a lot of quality, but it could take a little bit of time at the beginning to get that all flowing. You remember when Lucas Paquetá came a couple of years ago? It took a little while for him to find his feet in the Premier League. He has got stuff hanging over him as well. But I won't be too disappointed with eighth. We're going in the right direction. I think there's a lot of quality. I think we'll add to the quality as well. We may not be finished in the transfer window, but my heart says maybe higher, but I'm going to keep a level head and just put us in eighth in that solid position. Seventh, Newcastle. Listen, I know they've got questions about Anthony Gordon, but they've done a good rebuilding process over the last couple of years. They're going to continue their rise, I'm sure. Are they playing in Europe next year? Maybe. If they're going to do that, they could go far in the European places, but a solid seventh for Newcastle seems about right. Now, this is where we get into the meat of it, the top six, the top six. And listen, I've not diverted from the top six, as you've seen from my other picks. The top six are going to be the top six this year, in my opinion. But what order are they in? For six, I've gone for Spurs. Listen, Spurs could easily drop down the table, in my opinion. They've got a very open style of play. Ange Postecoglou doesn't like to divert from that one tactic, that attack. It's exciting, but is it sustainable? And will it get them challenging for the league again? I'm going to say sixth, but it is quite possible that they could get found out this year under Postecoglou. A bit like Marco Bielsa did at Leeds a couple of years ago, and they could drop right down the table. But listen, I'm going to give them the respect they deserve. They've got some quality players. Six for Spurs. In fifth, just missing out on the Champions League places, I'm going to go for Manchester United. Now, that may be shocking for some people because they're going to want to know where I'm putting Chelsea, who had a terrible season last year. But fifth, Man United, I think they're just going to miss out on Champions League. I think they've still got a little bit of reshuffling to do, but they seem to be going in the correct direction now, in the right direction, towards that upper side of the table. They're making some smart signings. It's going to be all down to Ten Hag. There was questions about him last year, whether he was going to leave, whether he was going to stay. They've stuck with him. Now he's got to produce some goods. Whether fifth's going to be enough for them, I don't know. But listen, if they do finish fifth, it's going in the right direction for them. In fourth place, Chelsea. And I know that's going to be shocking for a lot of people, but listen, Chelsea spent a lot of money, and I think fourth is going to be minimum expectation for them. I can't see them having a bad season as last year. I think they'll find some consistency. They have got some quality players. I think a couple of them will start to click. But easily, just like Spurs, it could all go to pot for them. But I'm going to back them for fourth. And I think some of them players are going to come good and they're going to start learning each other's games and they're going to build around Cole Palmer, who had a magnificent year last year, a magnificent player. But for £1.7 billion or whatever it is, £1.4 billion, I think that's the least they'd expect. In third, Liverpool. Liverpool, solid team, been up there for the last few years. I know they've lost Klopp. They haven't made much changes, but listen, they've got enough quality in that squad. And I don't think anyone else has sort of like established himself or going to be able to establish themselves to knock themselves out. I think they'll challenge up to a point, but I think they'll fall off over the long run. And I think it'll be a two-horse race at the top towards the end of the season. But a good solid season for Liverpool, and I'm sure they won't be too disappointed after losing Klopp. Now, here's the top two. Who's number two? Who's number one? I've got Man City and Arsenal left. So at number two, I've got Manchester City to finish second. Listen, they've achieved so much over the last few years, but there are question marks over a couple of their players. Kevin De Bruyne, can he keep on producing that? He's quality player, but can he keep on producing them match-winning displays week in, week out? They've lost a couple as well. They haven't gone mad in the transfer market, and maybe the fact that they've kept the same bunch of players for so long. Some of them are aging now. People like Carl Walker, Kevin De Bruyne, as I said. Listen, they've still got Haaland the machine, but it could be to a point where they don't feel that hunger anymore. Do you know what I mean? They don't feel like they've got anything left to prove. It could be Pep's last year, which could be a big swing, but it's going to be very interesting to see the battle at the top of the table this year. So in first, and I know a lot of people are not going to like this, but I've got Arsenal to finish top. Listen, they've got experience. You know, they've proven themselves. They've signed some quality players. They've still got to make one or two additions. But I got a feeling that with the decline of Man City, which with potential decline of Man City, and the mindset, I think there could be a drive there through that, missing out by a couple of points, by that, meteoric rise, by that quality. And they've got a few younger, more hungry, possibly players. And it could be their last chance this year. If they don't win the league this year, there could be a few people out the door because they're not going to get any. I don't think they're going to get any better chance than this to win the league. Look, it's been a bit of a fast rise. Arteta's doing some crazy things. Will it work? Will it not? I've just got a feeling they're going to take that disappointment that they've had from the sort of previous two campaigns of just missing out, and I think that may just be the driving force to get them over the line. So there is my predictions for the top 20 in the Premier League. As I said, odds checker in the link in the description down below if you want to give it your go. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you see it any different? Am I overlooking things? Am I not looking enough into things? And am I making too many stupid predictions? But odds checker, link in the description down below if you want to give it your go. Tell me your 1 to 20 in the comment section down below. Tell me your 1 to 20. Remember, to take part in this, you must be a UK resident and you must be over 18 years of age. But there you go. There's my 1 to 20. Please gamble responsibly. One thing left for me to say, come on, you irons.